James Carter was a quiet man, always dressed neatly in a crisp shirt and slacks. His face carried a calm yet confident look, the kind that only came with years of facing the world with dignity. James was in his late 40s, tall and lean, with an air of someone who had worked hard for everything he had. He lived in a bustling city, known for its diversity, but he knew that not everyone accepted differences easily. James wasn't just another face in the crowd. He was a man of principle, a successful businessman, and a generous donor to his city. His wealth didn't make him arrogant. Instead, it made him humble. But James also held strong political beliefs, which he expressed openly. That day, he wore his bright red MAGA hat, something he often did to remind himself and others of his convictions. The story begins on a busy Tuesday morning. James had just finished a meeting downtown and was heading home using public transit, a habit he maintained despite owning several luxury cars. To him, the subway wasn't just transportation. It was a place to stay connected with everyday people. At the station, Rebecca Hill, a transit officer in her 30s, stood by the entrance, keeping an eye on the bustling crowd. Rebecca was a no-nonsense type of person, with sharp eyes and a strong sense of authority. She had grown up in the city, working her way up to her position. Her job was her pride, but she sometimes let her assumptions guide her actions. As James walked through the turnstile, Rebecca noticed his red hat immediately. The words, "Make America Great Again," stood out like a beacon. Rebecca frowned. In her mind, the hat represented division and conflict, and she instantly judged James. "Here we go," she thought, tightening her grip on her clipboard. James approached the platform, nodding politely to a few passers-by. But before he could step onto the train, Rebecca stopped him. "Sir, can I see your ticket?" she asked, her tone firm. James handed over his ticket without hesitation. "Here you go, officer," he said with a polite smile. Rebecca glanced at the ticket and then at James. "This ticket isn't valid," she declared, her voice louder than it needed to be. James looked puzzled. "That's strange. I just bought it at the kiosk," he replied calmly. Rebecca crossed her arms. "Look, you can't ride without a valid ticket. You'll need to leave the platform." People nearby began to stare. James felt the weight of their eyes on him, but he stayed composed. "Officer, there must be some mistake. I can check again," he said, pulling out his receipt. Rebecca shook her head, her tone growing colder. "I don't think so. And frankly, that hat of yours isn't helping. Maybe you should take it somewhere else." James stood there, his receipt in hand, stunned by her words. He wasn't used to being treated like this, but he didn't want to create a scene. "If that's what you believe, I'll leave," he said quietly, tipping his hat and walking away. Rebecca watched him go, feeling a small surge of satisfaction. "People like him don't belong here," she muttered under her breath. What she didn't know was that several bystanders had recorded the incident. They uploaded the videos online, where they quickly went viral. People were outraged at the way James had been treated, and the story reached the mayor's office within hours. Later that evening, Rebecca was called into her supervisor's office. Her boss, Mr. Daniels, looked grave as he showed her the video. "Do you know who that man is?" he asked. Rebecca shrugged. "Just another troublemaker," she replied dismissively. Mr. Daniels shook his head. "That's James Carter. He's one of the city's biggest donors. He's funded several community projects, including the new wing at the Children's Hospital. And today, you humiliated him." Rebecca's face turned pale. "I didn't know," she stammered. "You didn't bother to find out," Mr. Daniels said sharply. "You judged him based on his appearance and his hat. That's not what we stand for." The next day, Rebecca was instructed to apologize to James in person. She dreaded the meeting, but she knew it was the right thing to do. When she arrived at James's office, she found him sitting behind a large desk, surrounded by photos of the projects he had supported. He looked up as she entered, his expression calm but guarded. "Mr. Carter," Rebecca began, her voice trembling, "I want to apologize for the way I treated you yesterday. I made assumptions and I was wrong. I didn't see you for who you are." James leaned back in his chair, studying her. "Officer Hill, everyone makes mistakes. What matters is whether we learn from them." Rebecca nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. I have, and I'm truly sorry. James extended his hand. Apology accepted. Let's work together to make this city better for everyone. From that day on, Rebecca approached her job with a renewed sense of fairness. She learned to look beyond appearances and treat everyone with respect. As for James, he continued to quietly support the city, knowing that true change came from understanding and compassion. And so, the story of a simple encounter became a powerful lesson, a reminder that it's not what we wear or who we vote for that defines us, but how we treat one another. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.